I wasn't cleared to come back to wrestle yet. Then plan was to wrestle the pay-per-view. I sat and listened to Moxley's Rocky 3 idea. I explained how I'd never seen a Rocky movie, and I thought the idea sucked. But if the boss wanted to do it, whatever. He said he wouldn't lose to me. I'd never experienced someone refusing to lose to me. I just laughed. I asked Tony if this was what he wanted. He said yes. He's the boss, so I said, okay, but I need to be cleared to wrestle first. They kept saying it could just be a squash, so I don't need to be cleared. I scoffed at that. My health is more important. Dave Meltzer is a liar. Jericho is a liar and a stooge. There were plans, but plans always change. But I'll never put a company above my health ever again, Kevin.
Yeah, can you reread the portion where he says that Moxley refused to lose to him? Yeah, just reread that part for me.
Oh my god. I'm trying to dig through it because I hate how this statement was worded. You've seen the screenshot. It's just this like 30-line long Instagram story.
I know, it's so egregious. And for those of you who don't know what we're referring to, this is a Instagram post that CM Punk put on his Instagram story that then he deleted, I assume, like right after. But it was long enough for people to screenshot it, and it circulated throughout the internet. And this was like 3 hours after Cultaholic and WrestleMania and all these news sources were reporting that Punk wanted to come back to AEW. So that just makes it more fascinating. But pal, please read it. Please read that. You have it ready?
Yes. Okay. So Punk goes in the middle of the statement. This is John Moxley, Jonathan Good, the 2022 Wrestler of the Year, said he wouldn't lose to me. I'd never experienced someone refusing to lose to me. I just laughed.
Okay, so here I'm pulling up the All Out 2022 results. And I'm just going to go ahead and look at the main event of what took place at All Out 2022. Oh yeah, CM Punk defeated Jon Moxley in a singles match for the AEW World Championship.
So, Isn't this ridiculous? Go on, Kevin.
Jon Moxley refused to lose to him? Am I crazy? Like, that happened. We all saw it. CM Punk beat Jon Moxley. Wow. So the common denominator here is CM Punk is difficult to work with. He had a difficult time in WWE, even though he was making just as much money, if maybe a little bit less, than Cena and Lesnar and Undertaker. Still pretty good. He was main eventing pay-per-views. He was WWE champion for a long time. Was he the actual top guy? Maybe not. Who cares? He was still in the main events and a very important part of the show. He was unhappy with that. Then he goes to the UFC. That was a mess. But he didn't really... There's no real, like, dirty allegations there, but just a mess. And then everybody's like, oh, he's got to go to AEW. And Punk goes to AEW, cuts this big promo about how, like, WWE made him sick, and Tony Khan and AEW and the fans re-garnished his love for wrestling. And we're what is that, like 18 months ago? August 2021? Yep. We're about 18 months removed from that big promo segment. Full of just pomp and circumstance and woe is me and WWE treated me wrong. The management treated me wrong. He accused the doctors of trying to kill him. You know, the old famous, I had my elbow was swollen the size of a baseball or his back or whatever it was.
Yep.
And now here we are, and he's also in this statement accusing the medical staff and Tony Khan forcing him to wrestle when he wasn't cleared. It's just, I hope it's an angle. I really hope it's an angle, but it's just enough with this guy, bro. I don't care. I just don't care for this nonsense.
Kevin, the thing with Punk is that with him, he blurred the lines with reality, and to the point where he was literally just stating real life stuff on television, and that was what was getting him popular. And that's happened in 2011. That's what skyrocketed his fame, skyrocketed his celebrity. That's what got me invested back when I was getting into wrestling all those years ago. And now we look at this, and I read this statement, and I don't read this as like, if this was in storyline, It's maybe about a third of the length of what this was, and it's just him saying like Moxley sucks. I'm gonna kick your ass when I come back, or something like that. Something more straight to the point. If it was actually a storyline sort of thing, it'd be that, Kevin. Instead, it's just this like 30 line long riffraff about, woe is me. I rejected this idea. Seeing like Tony Khan, this, the boss wanted, I can't believe Tony Khan wanted this. And Moxley, that guy wanted to, me to lose. And I've never had someone, I struggle to believe that in 20 plus years in wrestling, he's never had an opponent go, I think I should go over in this match and not you, Phil. Like, I struggle to believe that. And then the part down the bottom about accusing the medical staff, I'm never wrestling hurt again. Ugh. And then the bit about Meltzer and Jericho. And I'm not going to deny that Meltzer isn't a liar. We've literally seen that week after week with the Wrestling Observer and the reports he comes out with. But even still, is that really necessary? It's just, it's a bitch fit on Instagram story, Kevin. He deleted it. But as you point to, the underlying common denominator here is that Phil Brooks comes off as petulant with stuff like this.
That is a great word. Petulant. That is a great way to describe it.
Kevin, this is what stays behind closed doors. This is what does not reach social media. This is what stays inside the confines of a meeting room, a boardroom. That's what adults do. I know professional wrestling, especially nowadays, it's a bunch of marquee man children for the most part running around trying to have great matches. I get that. But this was completely unnecessary. I saw this and was like, oh my God, this guy again. This used to be my favorite wrestler for many years. And then as time went on, stuff like this happened. Now, this was only the other day, but the amount of like the Art of Wrestling podcast with Colt Cabana that you allude to, a 2 hour long, insane explosive shoot interview with blistering allegations about WWE, about their medical team, about Vince McMahon, Triple H, Ryback, the like, that Punk said wasn't a shoot and was just him, saying how he felt when really he's just trying to throw shade and bury other people to make himself look good. That's what this is, Kevin. This is Phil Brooks.
He had to say it wasn't a shoot to avoid legal trouble.
Correct. But Kevin, I'll say one more thing. This was CM Punk getting the shovel and throwing dirt at all these different people. Khan, Meltzer, Jericho, Moxley, like all of it. For what? Just I don't know, Kevin. Over to you. What do you think, pal?
I really don't have much more to say, honestly. Like, I'm so exhausted talking about the backstage aura and the personality that is CM Punk. Because we've been talking about this now since January 2014 when he walked out. It's just like CM Punk's career is more remembered for things he didn't do in the ring. Yeah, he has the pipe bomb, but aside from the pipe bomb, he's going to be remembered for the All Out media scrum. He's going to be remembered for that Art of Wrestling podcast episode. He's going to be remembered for the lawsuits against WWE. He's going to be remembered for just being known as a guy that complained and never got his way and was unhappy with the whole world at his feet. And it's odd. It's really odd. And it speaks, I guess, to CM Punk, the unique person that he is. But I just don't understand what the end game is in posting something like that. Is he posting that out of anger? Is he posting that because he wants to bury people? He wants to hurt people's feelings? And saying Chris Jericho's a stooge is... everybody knows Jericho's a stooge. He doesn't hide it. He has Dave Meltzer on his podcast. He's been a guest on Talk is Jericho many times. So we know he's in Meltzer's ear. He's feeding Meltzer a lot of nonsense. Who do you think is feeding Meltzer the nonsense that leaks about the Elite and Punk? Jericho's probably the one that broke the story that Punk had Colt Cabana fired or demoted to Ring of Honor. Yeah, that's really all I gotta say. Is there anything else you want to add, or any other angle you want to throw out there?
I'll just add one more point. I find it interesting with Punk, obviously, as you know, and all listeners would probably know if you've been around for a little bit. As I said, this guy was my favorite wrestler. I thought this guy was phenomenal. He was, he was so entertaining. He was interesting, especially as a kid. He would say, the things no one else said. I thought he was really cool. But now as time goes on, and you just see kind of almost the hero become the villain in many ways with this. His mouth was his greatest asset and it's his greatest liability at the same time with Punk. And I find it appropriate with him, Kevin, that his big thing when he was in WWE was the WrestleMania main event. That's what like defined his legacy almost. And in the years since he failed the main event at WrestleMania, Kevin, as of about a week from now, Kevin Owens is about to be a two-time WrestleMania main eventer, most likely. We've had the Miz main event WrestleMania. We've had Styles as main evented. We've had Lawrence Taylor's main event at WrestleMania, but Phil Brooks is not.
But
And
he
I
would
just
have main evented at WrestleMania had he just stayed around. He would have main evented at least 2 or 3 by now.
100%. But as I said, his mouth and his attitude got the better, or the worst of him in this case. And yeah, it's sad to see this. Like, I can't picture him coming back. I mean, I said this weeks ago. This isn't like a new hot take overreaction just because of this Instagram story. But you see this and you just go, okay, backstage, this guy's just a problem for AEW. And to be fair, AEW, there's a lot of some flakier personalities backstage in AEW, a bit of sensitivity there. But nonetheless, Kevin, CM Punk hardly helps in that. So
absolutely,
yeah, that's all I have. That's all I have. We can move on.
All right, I'm ready to talk about the scathing article that just dropped on Vincent Kennedy McMahon on Variety.com. I don't know if Variety is the originator, but this is where I got the article from. This came out at about 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
So the title of the article is, quote, Vince McMahon reimburses WWE $17.4 million for costs related to sexual misconduct investigation. It's just, I don't know what this means. It's not important in the grand scheme of things, but it's just so ridiculous to read that sentence. So let me read a little bit of the article. Yeah. So Vince McMahon has paid WWE $17.4 million for costs the wrestling entertainment company incurred in investigating misconduct allegations against the executive. First of all, my question is, why was WWE spending $17 million to find out if Vince McMahon harassed people, or to find out if he fudged some numbers, was taking money out of people's paychecks and using that to pay off paralegals? What in the world could possibly cost $17.4 million?
I don't have a clue, Kevin. That's one of those ones that just feels like they're doing and that's like anything for the sake of some positive PR. But that's just so weird. That sentence is hilarious. And also, I just want to say, I love how you say Vince McMahon.
How do I say it?
It's just the way, just how you say it, Vince McMahon. I don't know, but anyway, carry on, pal.
I love it. Oh man, like I just want to know, like, what? Okay, Vince McMahon slept with a woman. What do you need $17.4 million to know that? You talk to people who were there. Talk to the woman. Take a DNA test. How much does a DNA test cost? I don't know. Like, whatever. All right, so here we go. Under an agreement reached with the company, McMahon on March 23rd paid WWE about $17.4 million, according to an SEC filing by WWE Friday. That was to reimburse the company for the costs that have been incurred and paid by the company and/or its subsidiaries through January 31st, 2023, in connection with and/or arising from the investigation conducted by a special committee of the company's board of directors, as well as related revisions to the company's financial statements and other related matters, WWE said. Wow.
What an article that is. Wow.
Yeah, isn't that hilarious? That's wow. Oh, here's a little something else too. Just a note. So, according to this article, Vince McMahon has paid $19.6 million in hush money from 2007. 2007 to current day. That's how much money Vince McMahon has paid women hush money. Remarkable.
I just love how much money this is. Like for most people, like you work your jobs, you make, I don't know how much, like an average sort of like wage, maybe a bit below, maybe a bit above, and these numbers that are being thrown around: $19.4 million, $17 million. Like, what am I hearing? And of course, it's Vince McMahon and hush money, and which woman from the 2000s and who did Vince get fired, and it's just I don't know. This will keep playing out, Kevin. There's going to be much more with this Vince McMahon stuff that comes out in the next few months to year or years. Maybe even after Vince McMahon passes, much more will come out. Who knows?
Oh, absolutely.
That headline is just something.
Yeah, pal, what's the most you would pay for a woman's affection?
What kind of question is that? Oh my god!
I mean, Vince McMahon paid 19.6 million, so everybody's got a number.
Everybody's got a price for the $1 million man. Ha ha! Virgil, sit down and bark. Like, come on.
Like, where are you at, pal? Like, what's your budget? You at $1 million for a paralegal?
Oh god. Well, it's all relative because of how much money Vince has. Like, you know.
bro, he could go to a place in like Atlanta, Georgia. Just go to a random club, pay like $400, bro. You could take a girl home, bro. That he cost the whole company $19.6 million.
Can you imagine like pictures of Vince McMahon in the strip club, like leaking like John Morant's photos did? Can you imagine that? Oh my god, that would be ridiculous. You know, Vince McMahon got dollar bills. He's like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
He's like, yeah, honey, dance on me.
Like, oh, you look like Candace Michelle. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's awful.
I love that.
No, that's just a wait. Anyway, Kevin, anything else you want to cover?
I can't get over this, pal. I can't get over how ridiculous it is. Like, can we just, for a second, can we list all of the evil things that Vince McMahon has done again? Because, you know, I love doing this.
Do you want to do it or do you want me to do it?
I'll do it. I love doing this.
Yeah, go for it.
So, allegedly, Vince McMahon covered up a murder that one of his wrestlers committed. Jimmy Snuka killed his side chick. And then Vince McMahon came in with a briefcase with hush money, allegedly, and paid off the cops to, you know, let Jimmy Snuka go. And then it all came back to bite Jimmy Snuka. He got indicted on, like, when he was about to die from cancer. He's like 6 months away from dying. He's got like court papers showing up at his house. You got The Rock making Instagram posts about him. I digress. The Ring Boy scandal, the steroid trial, Owen Hart's death, Chris Benoit murder suicide. He survived all that. He survived a wrestler dying in his ring on pay-per-view.
This is.
But the one thing that took him down is a paralegal. A paralegal took Vincent Kennedy McMahon down. Like, it's so ridiculous. Like, bro, imagine all the stuff we know publicly about Vince McMahon. And let's not forget, he used a real-life war, the Persian Gulf War, to promote a WrestleMania. He had an American hero turn heel and align himself and become an Iraqi sympathizer in the middle of the Persian Gulf War. He made Trish Stratus bark like a dog, nearly got WWE thrown off of TV. He had Triple H have sex with a dead woman in a cane mask in the middle of a funeral while a real-life funeral is going on in the next room. But having intercourse with a paralegal is what took him down. Can you believe that? And like I said, all the things we know about Vince McMahon, these are all public things. What do we not know about him?
Oh, God.
Like, that's a video. That's a documentary that we need. We need a true tell-all. We need a Vince McMahon tell-all. We need the unknown. The little kept secrets of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Somebody do it, bro. Like put it on, I don't know, the History Channel or whatever. We need this.
Pal, you didn't even mention when he said the N-word on television in front of Booker T, or when all that stuff at Sabu, or like all the stuff from television in the mid-2000s he wrote himself to do, like racist and all this stuff. Didn't even mention that. And it's like, bruh, I can't imagine the stuff that's gone down that we don't know about. Because what we know a lot, as you've just mentioned, and a lot of that, like one instant at a time, is horrid, horrendous, wrestlers dying, hush money to cover up murders, ring boy scandals, you name it. There's something to do with everything shady under the sun involving this guy. But it's the paralegal who brought him down past the hush money.
And what a man! And then in the face of the hush money allegations, he shows up on SmackDown.
That
What a legend. Vincent Kennedy McMahon is a legend.
All things considered, that might be the funniest thing in wrestling in the last 5 years. Vince McMahon in the face of blistering allegations, in the face of the media, the wrestling public, and everyone turning against him, everyone hating on him, slandering his name. He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm on SmackDown this week, baby. Oh yeah."
Yeah, he just shows up. It's like, welcome to SmackDown. Enjoy the show.
You got Vince McMahon. Are you ready for a good time, baby? Oh yeah. Like,
That was great. I'm glad we got to do 10 minutes on Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And enjoy the rest of the show, everyone.
Easy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another week's Elite Heat. And Kevin, can I just say, it's WrestleMania week. The anticipation, the buzz, the excitement's in the air, pal. We got 2 Elite Heats this week. This is our first one. We're doing this Cena Rock debate, discussion. That's going to be great. But first, I want to throw it over to you, Kevin. How do you feel? WrestleMania is this weekend. That's pretty crazy, eh? It's come around again.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm excited, pal. You know, my excitement level, if you're asking me on a scale of 1 to 10, I've been more excited in my lifetime, particularly in my childhood, for WrestleManias. I say for this one, I'm like at a 7, which I think is considerably higher than I've been, aside from the one I went to a couple of years ago at 37. It's probably the most excited I've been to like watch a WrestleMania on TV. I'm not sure. Maybe that's the Roman Reigns effect. Maybe that's the Cody Rhodes effect. I don't know what's going on, but we have a hell of a card actually, which we're going to talk in great detail about on that second episode that we spoke about. But how are you, pal? How are you feeling in regards to WrestleMania?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. As we say, WrestleMania week. WWE, in my honest opinion, have done a good job getting like the build and the hype going for this WrestleMania. I look no further than the main event, which we're going to discuss now. Reigns and Cody. Kevin, this has become a weekly segment with our show, and I feel like the listeners, from the feedback I've heard at least, love this. Like where we're at with this, because it's genuinely changed every week for the last like 2 months. Where we're at with Reigns and Cody. Mm-hmm. To me, Kevin, we'll get your thoughts in a moment, but I watched that segment they did in the main event of Raw. I thought that was Cody Rhodes' best general performance, best promo segment he's done since his return. I thought he actually more than held his own and did a great job in that segment. Because, Kevin, as we discussed a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown, when they did that promo face-off, I thought Roman Reigns wiped the floor with Cody Rhodes. But this segment was much different. This segment, Roman Reigns came out strong once again. Reigns' delivery, as we've discussed, has gotten so much better. He's so much more blunt, and he has such great quotes now, which is awesome. Like, he has very quotable lines for Cody Rhodes. The one about him having to start his own company to try and get over, but he couldn't even do that, I thought was great. And then Cody, he came out with a bang as well. Like the whole part about come April 3rd, you're going to be a Roman without a reign, a tribal chief without a tribe. The bloodlines, what's going to happen when you lose, Roman? Heyman's just become an advocate. Jey Uso's going to leave you. He's barely hanging on as is. Jimmy Uso's going to leave you. Solo's using you. He's not ready yet. Trust me, I know. Like, it was just great. Like, it was a really well done segment. So, Kevin, that's my brief thoughts. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, he really cut deep, honestly. Cody did. Yeah, bringing up Jey Uso, wanting to leave him, and bringing up, like, the fact that Paul Heyman can just go do anything else. Like, Paul Heyman really doesn't need Roman Reigns, the way maybe Roman Reigns needed Paul Heyman. I thought it was good. And I thought it did exactly what a promo is supposed to do, and that's get you excited for the match that we are going to see. Now, I know you said that your excitement level was, what, like a 3? Like, right around, like, post-Elimination Chamber time? Your excitement level was like, oh, it's Roman Cody. Was it a 3? Like a 3.5?
Yeah, so for me, about 2 weeks after the Chamber, so like the beginning of March, I gave this a 4 for my excitement. This was before the first face-off.
Yeah, so where are you at now? Because I was at a 7 then. I'd say I'm probably like an 8 now.
I'm the same. I'm an 8 after this. And real quick before I bounce back to you, I love the part with this. Like, this I feel is a bit underrated. I loved when Cody said, enough about my dad. Stop mentioning this isn't about Dusty. He's not just going to show up and hit a bionic elbow on someone. He's dead. Well, this is about right now and the bloodline falling apart and me finishing my story. I love that because, Kevin, what I worried about was that for the whole year, it would just become Cody crying about his dad like every other week on Raw, which gets nauseating. But Cody made a conscious effort to go, nope, forget my dad. There's not a part of this. My brother's off wrestling somewhere else. You're just getting Cody at WrestleMania. And as you've said, Roman and Paul, that's a matchup nightmare for you. And what I'm here to do is end your reign. It's simple, but really effective. And the fact that they're doing this Roman downfall thing, they're really teasing it, I thought was excellent. I think now's the time. Reigns has been champion for so long. Making this a part of the storyline is just it's the perfect thing to do heading into WrestleMania. So to Kevin, answer that. I'm an 8 now for my excitement.
Pal, I have a question for you. Does Cody Rhodes watch Elite Heat? Was Cody Rhodes displaying awareness? But was that what we saw this past Monday on Raw? Cause I know he knows that people were saying, all right, it's enough with the Dusty references. Like, we get it. You're Dusty Rhodes' son. And you and I said this in an episode where we addressed if Cody's a main eventer, where I said specifically that Cody, he would just kind of ignore it. Like, people wanted him to turn heel in AEW, and he would come out and just be like, oh, I'm the babyface, kissing babies,
Yep.
Whatever. I'm the guy, I'm the king. But here he is, like, seemingly putting an end to the Dusty references, at least for now. And I thought I think that's a great sign, hopefully, for the future. Maybe we should do more videos like Cody. Maybe we should just keep making videos about how we don't want to see Cody cry by the time he met Ricochet in a gym. And maybe he'll stop doing stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. No, like, Kevin, from Cody's performance on SmackDown last week, where also when we're recording this, we haven't seen the SmackDown, I believe, for March 24th or whatever exact night, but the SmackDown from like March 17th or 18th, where Cody comes out and he's trying to get emotional with Kevin Owens and talk about how he met him in 7 years ago and he's on his way out the door and he respected him. What we saw then versus what we saw in this Monday Night Raw segment versus Roman, night and day. This Cody Rhodes is someone who I would be fine with dethroning Roman Reigns. A Cody cutting promos like that, really self-aware, really interesting, really progressing the storyline in a way that's compelling. That sort of thing, I really love to see. I thought that segment was fantastic. I saw some people saying it's a generational segment. I don't know about that, Kevin. What even is a generational segment anymore? I don't know. But what we got on Raw with Roman and Cody, I thought was great.
Can I say this too about the future of Roman Reigns?
Yeah.
Cody tapping into like you said, the downfall of the bloodline, the downfall of Roman Reigns. I think WWE can make a lot of money off of that storyline. I mean, there's very few more intriguing storylines in entertainment throughout the years in movies and TV than the downfall of the mafia boss. But watching this mafia boss do whatever it takes to stay on top, whether that's backstabbing his own cousin, or bringing in somebody else that the family doesn't approve of and making them his right-hand man. There's so many things they could do with that. And it makes you wonder, like, are we... I don't know if you want to answer this question fully, but are we seeing maybe, like, a point where Cody it's almost too predictable that Cody wins? And Roman might just keep the title and maybe they start playing this downfall of Roman Reigns fully?
I don't know. This is why now WrestleMania is so interesting to me because I can see either man winning. I think if Cody wins, as you say, this downfall of Roman's storyline, this can legitimately be a year-long storyline. You can have Reigns taking, obviously, a couple of weeks off like he's doing at the moment, but he can have the feud with Jey Uso at SummerSlam. That can be a whole 2-month-long storyline. That doesn't need titles, and that'll be phenomenal, as we saw. You can have Reigns versus Jimmy Uso, maybe. Reigns versus Sikoa later in the year. Sikoa turns on Roman. Maybe Roman versus The Rock, potentially next WrestleMania still, is like the final match for this character. And you can have a whole year of this. And the titles don't need to be on him. The show can roll on however it may with Cody and whoever they figure out with the titles. And this Roman storyline, to me, will be the most compelling thing on the show. Unless Cody or whoever's the champion is doing a great job. Because, as you allude to, this storyline has the makings to be one of the best things we've seen in a long time. Obviously, Reigns is the top guy who has been incredible for these number of years as the champion, but it can be a part of the storyline. It eats him away that he couldn't get to day 1000. He fell short. For all the dominance he had for nearly 3 years, he couldn't get to day 1000. And then like that bothers him more than anything. And the fact that his family's cost him what would have been like an absolute legacy still of the 1000-day run, like something like that can fuel him and drive. There's so much storyline stuff there for that. So yeah, to answer that question, 100%. There's plenty of room there.
Yeah, I mean, they could even go about it where like he keeps the title at WrestleMania, and then they just start like slowly telling us the downfall of Roman Reigns, where like he beats himself basically, where he just becomes like so power hungry, or just like loses all his sense of value and becomes vulnerable, and then he ends up like costing himself the title in a way. There's so many different ways they could go with it. Roman Reigns is clearly the most intriguing part of wrestling, period, and it's gonna be that way for a while. But as far as intrigue and build up,
yep,
I think this segment saved the build up for Roman versus Cody, because it was kind of shaky up until this point. Like that SmackDown segment you mentioned, and Roman's not on SmackDown, and we have Cody like mediating Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, telling each other their feelings. Maybe not the best way to build up a WrestleMania match, but this segment really was this was a home run. This Raw segment, it was spectacular. Pal, are you ready to debate Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and John Cena?
Pal, I am, pal. And can I just get it out of the way, Kevin? I want to just say I think The Rock's better. Like, just to answer the question right away.
Wow, coming in hot, pal.
Categories as to why.
But now everyone could just tune out the podcast now. Jimmy gave us his answer.
Well, no, you have to listen to Kevin counteract this, rebut it. That's my brutally honest take. I'll lay it out now, and you can enjoy the rest of it. And Kevin, if you disagree with me, I will bite your head off for it, pal.
I love it. I love to hear it. Yeah. So I guess I'll just tee it up. Well, why do you think The Rock is better than Cena, or where do you have The Rock all time, and where do you have Cena all time?
Now, this is the thing. I have them as I'd hope a lot of people do. I have them in a similar ilk, Kevin. I think The Rock is probably in that like maybe 4 spot, sort of 4 or 5 all time. Like, I think he's a Mount Rushmore superstar in every sense. And then I think Cena's like 1 or 2 spots below all time. Because they're obviously both top 10 stars all time. There's no debate there. But I think as far as a Mount Rushmore, I'm putting Hogan, I'm putting Austin for sure. And then maybe like The Undertaker or Flair sort of thing. Then I'm having The Rock and Cena's around like the 6 point, sort of around there.
Okay. So you have like Rock in that 5th, 6th range, but he's like right next to Cena, like wherever you're ranking Rock, Cena's going next to him.
Yeah, they're similar, but I have The Rock, and I'll give reasons why, as we lay this out. But yeah, Kevin, do you have one you prefer? Like, just where's your general stance? I don't have to be as blunt as I am, where I'm just come out of the blocks with my answer. But where do you sit on this whole thing? Do you agree, or let's go?
My answer on this has changed so many times. Because these two guys, I feel like they're just like the perfect like parallels of each other. They pretty much built the same in terms of height and stature and physique. They both made their name with their mic skills. Like there's so many similarities with the guys. But like if you asked me this like 3 years ago, I probably would have said The Rock for sure. And then if you asked me this a year ago, I would say Cena for sure. I think I lean putting Cena over The Rock. Just for a couple of reasons, which we'll get into, but I would say that's like just to give you like a hard answer, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and just one more thing. I feel like once we do this exercise, because we're going to structure this the same way we did the Cena Reigns debate. Maybe after this, when we go down, break through each category, maybe my stance changes. That's the beauty of what we're about to do here. Like, I'm coming into this thinking I feel The Rock's better. I prefer The Rock. But maybe we'll go through this, Kevin, and Cena might win every category by like 1. And maybe I might go, damn, or maybe I'm just going to change my all-time ranking. That's sort of the purpose of this. It's not to, like,
To yell
blow
at each
someone's head
other.
off if they say one guy and then one guy wins the category. It's more so just for you guys to listen to it and think, yeah, maybe Cena is objectively better. Maybe The Rock does clear Cena at everything. Like that's sort of the purpose of this.
There you go. Well, for me, all right. So I guess we could. I think we should start with. I don't want to go just right into the best categories.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at in ring, because I like debating this one because I think they're similar in ring. I feel like if The Rock had Cena's like entire length of his career, Rock would have turned into what Cena was in the
Yes.
ring in his prime. You know, like The Rock would never be considered a great work rate wrestler like Kurt Angle or like Dolph Ziggler or somebody like that. John Cena would never be considered in that same ilk either. He's never gonna win any Bryan Danielson awards from Dave Meltzer, pal. Um,
Yeah.
Personally, I give the notch to Cena in ring, just because like we've seen Cena go in there with AJ Styles, we've seen him go in there with Cesaro, Kevin Owens, you name it, and have like these indie style matches, and then we've seen him have like the basic like brawling style matches with like Triple H and even with The Rock, and he's done it all. He's had 5-star classics with CM Punk. He's been able to really do a lot. The Rock, I don't really think, does The Rock have like one in-ring performance like where you're just like, wow, that was a great in-ring match? For me, the one that comes to the top of my mind is that triple threat match he had at Vengeance 02 with Kurt Angle and Undertaker.
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. Does The Rock? Because I'm thinking like if I have to answer the question, what are The Rock's best matches? Like if you just show me 3 to 5 Rock matches, what matches are you showing? And to me, I'm thinking the WrestleMania 17 main event. I'm
Yep.
thinking that match, the triple threat that you mentioned. I'm thinking the Iron Man match versus Triple H at Backlash. I'm thinking the match he had, I believe it was at Fully Loaded, I want to say is the show name, against Benoit. If you want to have like one of his like pretty good to great in-ring matches. And then I'm thinking for another Rock match,
28 with Cena.
yeah, probably 28 to be honest. Yeah, well, maybe
You
the
would
Hogan match WrestleMania 18, but that's not. No one looks at that and thinks that's an in-ring spectacle. That's great for every other reason.
but you
Um,
wouldn't show the ladder match with Triple H for SummerSlam '98. That would be like top of
oh,
my
that
list.
one. Yep, forgot that one. Yeah, no, that as well. But yeah, like those are the sort of matches I'd show for The Rock, which none of them are like your 5-star bell to bell classics, but they're all incredible in their own regard. So
Right. Yeah, I think The Rock in terms of in ring, I think it's his weakest attribute. And it's not to say he hasn't had classic matches, which I mean he has. Like just me asking that question and then thinking about it out loud, like he had that classic match with Triple H at SummerSlam '98, which was fantastic. Triple threat match at Vengeance 02. But I wouldn't say he's had as good of an in-ring match as Cena had with Punk. Just that match with Punk at Money in the Bank 11 and the match with AJ Styles at Royal Rumble 17. I don't think Rock even comes close to either of those performances from an in-ring, strictly in-ring standpoint, not like a spectacle
yeah,
or anything like that.
yeah. I will say one thing with this, the sort of in-ring talents, because we look at Cena, right? And as you mentioned career longevity, the first I'm trying to think what figure. So when he came in 02 through really about 2014, with the exception of that Punk match, which was objectively incredible,
Mhm.
the big hit on Cena for most of that time was this guy literally sucks in the ring. He'll get beat up for most of the match. The match will be boring. Then he'll hit 5 moves and win. His matches are unwatchable. That was what a lot of people were saying about Cena for a
You're
long period
forgetting
of time.
that match he had with Shawn on Raw in London. That one too. That was another one that was like, wow, great.
I guess millions of people that same criticism were forgetting that one match, pal. Sorry, Kev. I'm speaking for the masses, pal.
All right, all
But
right, all right. Can
the
I?
general Cena match format's what I'm alluding to. Obviously, Sean's incredible. We get that, but the Cena match style over that long period of time drove a lot of people the wrong way. It pissed off a lot of people that this jacked 260-pound guy is getting beat down by whoever he's wrestling, and then he'll just, shoulder block, you can't see me, 5-knuckle shuffle, AA, STF. Oh, he tapped out. Like that format. But that said, Kevin, as you allude to, if The Rock wrestled for 15 years, I'm sure everyone would have the same criticism about him because The Rock was hardly Bryan Danielson either. So it just, I don't know. Cena's longevity, I guess, gives him the in ring just because of the matches he had in the 2010s with the indie guys. But really, The Rock was not far off. I think they're very similar in the ring.
Yeah, can I just name you a few John Cena classics from that 2002 to 2014 timeline, and then we'll go to the next topic?
Go for
it. The backstage brawl, the parking lot brawl with Eddie Guerrero. Classic match. I guess not really in ring, so okay.
Yeah,
we
brawl,
technically can't count that, I guess. Mm-hmm. Okay. Unforgiven 06 versus Edge.
Yes.
Fantastic. The Raw after Mania, or 2 weeks after Mania match with Shawn. It was like an hour-long classic. There was I would say, I think a lot of people too would be with me on this, that match with RVD at One Night Stand, very good in ring. You know, I'm not gonna say anything WrestleMania 22 or 23. We're not gonna open that can of worms up again. But there is one on the tip of my tongue that I cannot remember now. It's a great Cena match from that era, and it's just not coming. Maybe I guess that it's disproving my point that I was trying to make. The fact that I can't remember it.
Yeah, I don't know, but basically the whole point with this, I just think, yeah, they're pretty much smack bang on par, just because of the longevity and the fact that Cena worked with indie guys and Rock never worked with Shawn Michaels. Maybe if Shawn Michaels is around in this era, The Rock has several all-time classics with Shawn. We don't know, but yeah, I think
he would never work with Shawn. There's a Wrestling Uncovered video coming on that at some point.
Oh,
but he would never, even if Shawn was around, he would never work with him.
But yeah, so I think they're kind of dead even. So there's that, Kevin. Do you want to move on to another category or anything else on in ring and matches?
Yeah, I'll just say I have Cena ahead of Rock. I gave Cena a 7 in ring, and I would give Rock a 6.
That's fair. That's fair.
What would you give?
I'm not going to really get hot and heavy over that. I think that's fair. But I think they're pretty much smack bang on par, to be honest.
What would you give him, like a 7? 8?
I didn't say either. I wouldn't think either at 8 in the ring. No, I'd probably say they're both, you know, well then again, what's like Eddie Guerrero in the ring? Like 11 out of 10 on this scale? Like,
well, yeah, Eddie's up there with Shawn, guys like that, for sure.
I think Cena and Rock are both like 6s, to be honest. I don't think either of them are like in-ring legends. Like Kurt Angle, he'd be a 10, like that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think they're both about 6s in the ring. Neither are blow-away fantastic, but of course their career, they've had some great matches.
Yeah, the only reason I give Cena the notch is for that match with Punk at Money in the Bank. Rock doesn't have anything close to that in his catalog, you know?
Yeah.
Which we'll get to. Let's do match catalog. Let's do overall match catalog. These categories kind of go hand in hand.
Cena.
Yeah, this is like a general, like, rule. Like, I guess the way I would judge this is like big-time matches. Because obviously Cena's had more matches. You know, we're not gonna say that like Rock wrestled 10 years less than Cena did. So I look at this like high profile matches, big time matches. I think they're closer than you would think, because well, for me, I give more equity into, not more equity, but I give Rock like a big plus for the quality that he had. Like not a large quantity of big matches like Cena, but The Rock had 3 classics with Austin that meant more to wrestling than almost any match that Cena's had.
Yes.
You know, that match between Rock and Hogan, big time. And then their 2 WrestleMania matches that these 2 guys had against each other. They're big notches in both their belts. But I think you look at Rock Hogan, the 3 Rock Austin matches. You look at like Brock versus Rock. You look at you look at Rock versus Cena. Those matches,
Rock versus Triple H, those matches they had.
Those matches they had, like those, I think they, like, Rock's not far behind Cena in this, but they propel Rock pretty high. You know, when you look at Cena, like, how many big matches does Cena have at WrestleMania? Rock had, 4 of the 10 to 12 biggest in terms of appeal and box office and just getting people together, like, oh, we gotta watch that match. How many of those did Cena have at WrestleMania? 1, maybe? Like, aside from the 2 we had with Rock. The one with Triple H at 22 is probably the closest in terms of appeal. And that was big. Yeah, that was a big deal. It was Cena Triple H, but it wasn't Rock Austin at the peak of the Attitude Era.
Well, The Rock had Mania 15. He was the main event. Everyone wanted to see that match against Austin. And then 17 was, we discussed that in great depth, our previous podcast. So 17, 18 was infamous, absolute icon versus icon. And 19, once again, Austin Rock, that meant a lot to a lot of people. And then The Rock had, I mean, I'll count the matches with Cena, but they kind of cancel each other out just because we're doing a comparison. But I think for The Rock, that's what, I mean, five, so I'm counting 15, 17, 18, 19, and 28 as matches pretty much everyone in wrestling really wanted to see. And then I look at like 29 and WrestleMania 2000. Their WrestleMania main events The Rock was in. The hype wasn't exactly incredible for either. But nonetheless, like that's a big ticks for The Rock. Cena, yep, Mania 22, the first match against The Rock. And that's really about, because I mean, the hype for Cena JBL in 05 was hardly next level incredible. It was, people wanted to see it, from what I've gathered, Kevin, but I don't think it was like a Rock Hogan type of hype.
No, Triple H
So,
Batista was the marquee match.
mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
And then,
go ahead.
sorry, then WrestleMania 23, all the hype was about the Battle of the Billionaires.
Yep.
And then Cena didn't main event WrestleMania after 29. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There was no hype for like Cena, Triple H, and Orton. But let's be fair. Let's look at it outside of WrestleMania. Cena Punk, aside, like, that's a big match, very important for wrestling, very influential. But does that stack up to all those matches that we just mentioned from The Rock? Not really, But does The Rock have a match at a non-WrestleMania pay-per-view that was that big? Like SummerSlam with Brock?
Yeah.
But was it that big?
Yeah.
As big as Cena Punk and Money in the Bank? I don't know.
Yeah, the big for entirely different reasons. This is why these comparisons are always a bit hard to do, because are you taking Rock versus Brock at SummerSlam in a match that was essentially to make the future of the company with Brock Lesnar,
Yeah.
or are you taking CM Punk and Cena from 28? It's apples and oranges with something like that. But yeah, I just like to think, Kevin, one more thing. This is just a fun one for the chat and everyone listening. If you're trying to show a non-wrestling fan wrestling, okay, Kevin, are you going to show them Rock versus Hogan from WrestleMania 18, or are you going to show them Cena versus Punk from Money in the Bank? You have one match to show them. You want to show the absolute, like, the absolute high of wrestling. There's something that's going to make them hooked. I mean, granted, both probably will because they're both great. I'm not saying either's bad at all, but are you going to show that Rock match, which once again wasn't an in-ring masterpiece, but it was literally great for every other reason, or Cena vs. Punk?
That's interesting. That is a good question. I hope we get some good responses for that one.
Because, Kevin, I know my answer. I'm showing Rock versus Hogan. Because if I'm showing someone random, yes, yeah, okay, the in-ring wasn't as fantastic, but it was a 15-minute match. The crowd was erupting. Two absolute icons wrestling. It's a WrestleMania, so there's more hype there. The flash bulbs, the commentary was better. Like, The Rock was, excellent in that match. So I'd probably show them that. Cena vs. Punk, it's just very different. It's a very different climate of WWE, a very different time in the business. So once again, hard to compare, but I'd say Rock vs. Hogan.
Yeah, well, I'm talking, I'm talking like non-WrestleMania matches for The Rock.
Okay, non-WrestleMania. So I guess we'll do Rock vs. Brock. Would you show Rock vs. Brock or Cena Punk? You probably showed Cena Punk, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would show people Cena Punk. But does The Rock have anything else aside from that match with Brock at SummerSlam? Anything
the match versus Triple H at SummerSlam '98. The match was Mick Foley, Royal Rumble with.
I wouldn't show
they had
people
their
that.
empty arena brawl, the I Quit, which are a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, I wouldn't show that. Not the I Quit.
Yeah,
match.
I wouldn't show that to a non-wrestling fan.
No.
Or maybe I would. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, the matches with Backlash versus Triple H, the match of Judgment Day versus Triple H in 2000. I really like that Benoit match from Fully Loaded. I watched that and really enjoyed it. Obviously, it's Benoit, so it's a bit whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to watch, right?
Yeah, and then
so
there's a bunch of like matches like that. I mean, Rock's no schmuck with his catalog. Cena's got probably a better catalog just because of how long it is, but Rock's catalog is more high profile.
Yeah, that's the thing. I have them pretty close. Like I'd probably give Rock like an 8 for match catalog, and then I have Cena just above him at 9.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really like just because there's just a handful of Rock matches. like great rock matches, but those handful, like we said, are just so synonymous with wrestling. All right, well, enough about that.
Yeah.
What are you going to talk about? What are we going to talk about next? Their merchandise?
Yeah, merchandise. Why not? I prefer Rock merchandise than Cena
What do
merch.
you mean, bro?
Cena
Cena
has
clears
a.
him, bro. You don't like the Fruity Pebbles shirts?
Well, this was the whole bit when they were feuding in 2012. The Rock making fun of Cena with all his, neon fruity pebble rainbow shirts and merchandise. I mean, if you want the full scope of every color under the rainbow, then Cena's your go-to guy for this. With these big, you can't see me, never give up. A picture of Cena doing like a salute on the shirt, like all the Cena merch. But to me, the Rock merch is just iconic. I think like Rock shirts in pop culture just do better. I've seen people at clubs wearing Rock shirts. I've seen no one at clubs wearing Cena shirts. So I don't know. That's just me. I mean,
Yeah, I
honestly,
mean, people want to pick up chicks, bro.
Go on.
I was just going to say people want to pick up chicks. That's why they don't wear Cena shirts.
Can you imagine, Kevin, someone at a nightclub wearing like the bright red, the 2014 Cena one, like the
Oh my
mustard
God.
color "You Can't See Me" shirt? They're like, hey, they're in the club, they're like screaming out Bad Bunny playing, and you can barely hear yourself think. And like someone walks up to this female and like they're wearing this like Cena shirt.
Oh, that'd be brutal. Oh, man. Yeah, but The Rock is like cool merchandise you could wear at a club. You could wear like the Just Bring It, or Know Your Role, or the Brahma Bull shirt. And I love The Rock's Under Armour shirts. Have you seen those?
Oh yes, I have. The Project Rock stuff
Yes.
I mean, that's great as well.
I have 4 of them. And I have like the shorts. Like, they're nice, good merchandise. I wear them to the gym all the time. I'm not gonna be working out in like "You Can't See Me" shirts, like neon green "You Can't See Me" shirts with like Cena's cartoonized face on it. I'm not working out in that. Yeah, The Rock clears Cena and merchandise. Let's call it what it is, bro.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is. I give Cena, just to be fair to the impact, like to the what he has for like women and children and families.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I give Cena's merch a 7, just because like anybody in the world will recognize Cena's merch. But in terms of quality, it's not that great. I'd give The Rock like an 8.5. Like
Yeah.
like 8.5, 9 almost.
Well, Kevin, I feel like children can wear Cena shirts and it's totally cool. Obviously, 100% awesome. And yes, and women, the soccer moms can wear the Cena shirts. Anyone can wear the Rock merch, and it's universally accepted and cool. And yeah, I think that's really the big thing with this. Like, if you're a grown man, you're at the gym, and you're wearing the bright orange "Never Give Up" shirt with I'd say cartoonized Cena doing a 5 knuckle shuffle. That just is nowhere near as good as like those Rock shirts where it was him doing the hand motion where he's like, "Bring it, bitch!" Like he's got like the hand, he's doing that to someone, and it's like the Rock with the eyebrow and the sunglasses, and it's got like electric theme. Like, that stuff's so cool. Like, that's just cool merch, pal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like if you're ranking wrestler merchandise tiers, like you figure like Austin's like the apex, right? And then like you're thinking somebody like Ziggler with like the Steal Your Show and Your Girlfriend in bright pink, like that's like the absolute bottom of the barrel.
Oh,
Like where would you put like Cena and Rock on that scale?
I put Rock right next to Austin. Austin obviously is the most iconic shirt ever in wrestling, in my opinion, the Austin 316.
Yeah.
And just that merchandise. But I think The Rock has that many just cool bits of merch that I'd happily wear. And to me, that's what merch is. Like, how much merch would you be happy and comfortable to wear in public and feel cool wearing it? Cena's merch, I don't need a Never Give Up red shirt with bright blue text with him doing "You Can't See Me." I don't need that in my life. I'd put that like 1 or 2 tiers below. I'm not going to show up to a place wearing a Rise Above Hate shirt. Like, the message is cool. I agree with the message, but it implies you get bullied. So I'm not wearing that. I'm wearing Rock merch of him doing "Bring It, Bitch."
There you go. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's Austin, the NWO, and then everybody else. When it comes to merchandise, like I think Rock is right after those two.
Yep.
I wouldn't put Cena like on the level of like that pink Ziggler shirt, but Cena's like somewhere like
no.
Cena's like somewhere in the upper medium. You know, like he's there, and like the top 10. You know, he's like below Rey Mysterio and guys like that. But he's not in the bottom of the barrel, you know what I mean, or even close to the bottom of the barrel. Like Cena's merchandise is great and iconic and important for wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, pal, we're not going to discuss this. We'll discuss this sort of stuff later in the year with Elite Heat, but that's stealing the show and your girlfriend shirt is, I think, the worst shirt in wrestling history, to be honest. But nonetheless, we'll move. Kevin, what's the next category?
I just want to say in the chat, do you guys want to hear Jimmy and I like debate the best merchandise of all time, best wrestling T-shirts? I'd love to see the response to that. Yeah, but I think it's time to turn up a notch, pal.
Yep.
Let's talk about quality of feuds. So for this category, I look at like, you know, iconic, memorable feuds, great opponents, great matches in the feuds, like everything that encompasses a feud. You know, The Rock is at the apex of that.
Yes.
Of that, whatever Mount Rushmore that is. Like it's Hogan, Austin, you know, Bret Hart, Shawn, like those guys have like iconic feuds, and Rock's in that class. I think Cena is like a class just below. Like Cena's had some great iconic feuds, like with Edge, with CM Punk, AJ Styles, but for the amount of years that he has worked, you would think that he would have more, right?
Yes, 100%. I feel like with this, the big one. Because obviously when The Rock or Cena or anyone, when guys of that ilk and that level, like we're talking like all-time greats are feuding with each other, it'll be great. Unless something goes badly wrong, it'll be really good. So, you know, when Cena and The Rock feud, or when Cena feuds with, I don't know, like Triple H, that sort of stuff, that stuff's just always going to be good because of who's involved, Kevin. I look at when The Rock or Cena feud with a lesser light, a guy who's several tiers below. I look at The Rock, for instance, and think of the Billy Gunn feud, a random 1999 feud. The Rock's mic work in that is unbelievable. It is phenomenal. It makes you desperate to watch him whoop Billy Gunn's ass, pal. Like the promos he was cutting were just hilarious. You couldn't look away. You wanted to see Rock versus Billy Gunn. Kevin, could you say the same thing about John Cena and The Miz from WrestleMania 27?
Can we use a different example? Give me a different one, please. I don't
know, but like my whole point here is John Cena's ability to carry the feud on the back of just him being John Cena. Yes, it worked when you've got in the 2010s these guys who, I'm a better wrestler than you, Cena. I'm better than you. Like when CM Punk did that first, then when Styles did that, and when that became the thing with Cena in the mid 2010s, I'm a better wrestler than you. Let's have a great match, John. When it became that, the matches were great, but that was just what Cena did. Whereas, Kevin, I look at prime Cena, those feuds he had. You've got, obviously, there was a feud with Ziggler, a really compelling feud where it was AJ Lee and Vicky Guerrero was the main storyline. I mean, the stuff with The Miz, the stuff with Rusev, where Rusev would come out screaming that he loves Russia, and Lana would be there, and Cena would be like, I love America, Nation. Stuff like that. Like, those were not compelling feuds. Kevin, The Rock was having compelling feuds with Billy Gunn and mid-carders, let alone Brock, etc. So, yeah, I think Rock wins this in a landslide.
I just want to say, pal, a better example. I just don't want to yell about The Miz anymore. Like Mike Mizanin makes me sick, pal. But John Cena, did he make you want to see like Wade Barrett? Like did he make you want to watch that feud? Wade Barrett kind of similar on the rise, like how Billy Gunn was in '99. And yeah, like you said, Rock, when he cut the infamous promo about like how Billy Gunn's gonna go talk to God himself, and God himself can't get him over. Like, it's great. It's great stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't say Rock clears Cena. I wouldn't say that. For me, I think it's closer than like to be fair to Cena. Like Cena's had a lot of great legendary feuds, bro. He's had a lot of them. I mean, like we already said, the one with Edge, Punk, AJ. Those are probably his three best. You know, he's had good storylines. Like the one with him and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. Like it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. You know, the feud with Triple H, like that's always an iconic feud whenever they reignite that. The feud with Randy Orton, you and I are not big on that, but a lot of people love it. It's a great
Yeah.
feud in wrestling history.
Wouldn't.
Is it
Yeah.
one that is on the level of like Rock Austin? No,
No.
exactly. But then these guys, Cena and Rock, literally one of the best feuds that we've ever seen. One of the most personal feuds, best promos, one of the best built up WrestleMania matches of all time. And it's not fair that we're debating them against each other because we can't use either one.
Well, Kevin, with Cena, I think what made that so great and what made all of Cena's best stuff was when people were calling him out for being like the top guy and like playing that Super Cena role. When Punk did it in 2011, it was like it's unanimously beloved. When The Rock did it here, the way The Rock did it in 2012 with Once in a Lifetime was some of the best stuff I've ever seen with wrestling. Like that was just so creative. The Rock in Boston throwing Cena gear, mocking it, throwing it into the river. Like that's some of the best stuff I've seen. And you look at Cena and it carried on through the 2010s. Like, I'm a better wrestler than you. I'm better than you, John. You're a phony. That became the thing with all of Cena's most compelling storylines. Because when Cena was just the top guy, feuding with Wade Barrett, feuding with the Nexus, Super Cena's a hero who beats everyone, that wasn't good. Oh, Super Cena's facing like bald headed Randy Orton. Oh, thrilling. Like why should I care? Like, when Cena's having more compelling, interesting, real storylines, where The Rock's calling him out for being a phony and like a guy who just finesses children and women to try and make money, that sort of stuff's great. Like that's good stuff. So
Yeah, but then Cena came right back at him and was like, "You only come around when you want a paycheck, bro. Like you've been in Hollywood. You said you love WWE. This is your home. You've been in Hollywood for 10 years. You don't even come back. Like it
that
was
still
great.
applies to this day. That still applies to this day. To be fair, give that
Yeah,
to Cena.
Cena always makes time for WWE. Rock seemingly doesn't have that much time for WWE unless they're paying him a ton of money. Um, yeah, it's intriguing. It's really an intriguing storyline. Like that is Cena and Rock as a storyline is up there with like Rock Austin. It's up there with like Hogan Savage, Hogan Andre. Like the Cena Rock feud, where would you put that all time? Like top 5, top 7? Got to be in
This is
that top 8 conversation.
To me, it's top three. But then again, I'm probably the best person to answer this because, as we know, like this was like what I grew up loving. So I'm biased. I thought everything about that storyline was damn near perfect. Actually, well, sorry, outside of stuff with Awesome Truth at Survivor Series and Cena having to embrace the hate with Kane, I don't count that. I just count the Cena Rock, them throwing jabs at each other, the feud itself, the match, the build, the hype, what they were saying to each other, the characters, how they clashed, the hero of one generation was hero of another. All of that I thought was great. So to answer that question, I'd say top three for me. What about you?
Yeah, I'd probably put it in like I have to really think about it, but I say like top 7, top 8. Yeah, just to be safe, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Cal,
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, once we get that, I think we need to discuss mic skills now. I think we're nearly about that time, pal.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. I just think I want to say this in closing. Like I said at the beginning, Rock is on that S tier for like wrestling feuds, and Cena's right there at the A tier, right behind him. You know, like Rock has had like Rock clears just for like the Rock Austin stuff alone. You know, that's the apex of the Attitude Era. When you think Attitude Era, you think Austin Rock, you think Austin Vince, the pillar. For Cena, ton of great feuds, you know, iconic feuds. But he didn't have anything aside from his storyline with The Rock. He didn't have anything quite as big as what Rock had with Rock Austin, Rock Hogan, etc.
Yeah,
So
correct.
yeah, I would say Rock's a 10 and Cena's a 9.
Correct. And now, Kevin, let's discuss mic work. This is one of the big ones with
Yes.
these guys. And to many, for the longest time, I know at least the Rock was so far clear, like in a lot of people's minds, at least. Then when you look at the sort of realities of it, Cena's not that far behind, and some would say, and it's not even that much of a hot take anymore, that Cena's better than The Rock on the mic. So, Kevin, what's your thoughts on this?
I think they're dead even on the mic. I think they're absolutely. I think it's a tie. I think if you're ranking them though, I think Rock will always be ranked above Cena. But for me, they're both top 5 mic workers of all time.
Yeah, I like that take. I agree. I think Cena, as we saw, like Cena's whole career path is a bit weird because for the start of his run, like when he was doing Doctor of Thugonomics, he's doing the stuff on SmackDown in the early 2000s before he really became the face of the PG era. Cena's mic work then is some of the most underrated stuff. He has that many like zingers, that many creative, interesting, funny, entertaining lines, promos, rap battles. Kevin, you can talk about this more than I can, but I've seen some awesome Cena stuff from then. And then Kevin Cena became the face of PG, cutting Star Wars promos, feuding with Randy Orton and Wade Barrett and Dolph Ziggler. And it was like, oh my God, get this guy off my TV. Like this is nauseating. He come out to cut 15-minute, recap the storyline promos to open Raw. And it was like, this is just not good at all. But then Kevin, once he fell out of the top guy role in about, the mid 2010s, and he became a bit more free. He wasn't just like the face of PG. He was just Cena working SmackDown, working Raw. We saw some amazing stuff. And Cena's mic work's been incredible ever since. The Cena Roman thing in 2017. More recently, Cena Theory, that epic promo Cena cut there. Like, Cena, to me, his mic work, it's like there was a big peak in the early 2000s, Dr. Thugonomics, a big drop at the Super Cena PG face stuff, and then it's peaked ever since. So what do you think, Pal? Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say he had like 2 or 3 down years. Like you could say like 09, 10, 11. Like not even 11. Like I would say 09 and 10 were like real down years for him on the mic. Other than that, he was the best mic worker in the company. You could argue like Paul Heyman in the later years was better than him.
Punk in the early 2010s maybe, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, then you're talking like, looking at Cena, the stuff he did is Dr. Thugonomics, legendary, iconic. Just about everybody's going to give that an A+ on the mic. And then even when he was transitioning into like being the Super Cena, those years from 05 to 08, he was still pretty solid on the mic. Like he always delivered. He would make fun of people, just make witty one-liners. And that's the thing about Cena. Cena is the quickest on his feet of anybody aside from The Rock. With the jokes and the one-liners and making fun of people. And one thing that Cena does really well too is Cena will sell you his opponent before he buries you. He's gonna sell you, He's gonna sell you, he's gonna build you up. Oh, like he would do with AJ Styles. AJ Styles, this great worker, best wrestler in the world. He's up there with Daniel Bryan. And then he would just look at you like, but who's heard of you, AJ Styles? Nobody's heard of you. It was so good, so clever.
Yeah.
And then with The Rock's the best mic worker I've ever seen. Just in general. I could go back and watch The Rock's promos. And you can see why he's the biggest star in Hollywood. Why he's the most in-demand, highest paid actor. You can see it. It's like this guy doesn't belong in WWE. What is he doing? He's there. He was clearly above everybody else except for Austin during his time. And when he comes back, it's almost like a disservice for WWE to bring The Rock back, because when he gets on the mic, he reminds you that he's better than everybody else. Like I remember it was like 2015, 2016. Yeah. He came back at the Barclays Center, cut this random promo, just shredded Rusev and Lana on the mic.
Yeah.
And it was just a reminder of like, oh, the Attitude Era is better than what we see now.
Oh yeah.
The Rock's better than these guys. Yeah, it's really good stuff. Well, just going back watching The Rock, like, let's just rattle off some of The Rock's best segments. The what was it called where he did the song and he made fun of Vicky Guerrero?
Oh, the Rock concert with about Vicky Guerrero, iconic, legendary.
Yeah. And then the first one that he did when he was Hollywood Rock, talking about Cleveland sucks. Like, just, I mean, he can sing. He can fucking grab a guitar and play a guitar and sing a country song. Like, what can the guy not do?
Like, I'm looking at this article now, just some like The Rock's like best one-liners, and like how someone thinks of this is just incredible. Like the wit, the comedic genius of this, the delivery, because his delivery is better than pretty much anyone I've ever seen. The way he like the promo where he's making fun of the Big Show is like that interview. I know like everyone listening will know what I'm talking about, where he's like some only The Rock could do that. I feel like hardly anyone ever could have done that, and it was so entertaining. His eyes, the facial expressions, the delivery, what he's saying, and like I look at something with we can talk about once in a lifetime. The creative lines, like obviously everyone, well, a lot of the, especially the adult male fan base, didn't enjoy Cena. They said, "Oh, Cena sucks, Cena bad." The Rock's take on this is, Cena, you look like a bloated transvestite Wonder Woman ready to fight crime. Like, who thinks of this stuff? Like, that's brilliant, you know? Like, that's so witty and funny. And the stuff with Billy Gunn, I mean, it's just, it's incredible. And like some of these other lines, like when The Rock was like an arrogant heel, he goes, "The Rock gets more pie in a week than you get in a lifetime." Like, you know, and it's
How,
just,
how
I don't
about
know.
when he called your
Yeah.
boy Punk a cookie puss and like had single-handedly brought back like a ice cream cake from the 1980s?
And then Punk's reply, which everyone praises, was, "I'm a better wrestler than you, and your arms aren't short enough to box with God." And then everyone acts as if that was an all-time promo. Like, I'm a Punk guy. That wasn't as great as people make it out to be, but nonetheless, pal, yeah, The Rock is just, you know, some of these lines. You got to go back and watch these. Just maybe after you finish listening to this, go watch Rock best one-liners, best promos. You'll get a kick out of it. So yeah, Rock takes this one, but it's very close.
I love that promo before the Hell in a Cell match at Armageddon 2000, where he's just making fun of everybody in the match. He's like making fun of Rikishi. "I did it for The Rock," and making fun of Triple H and making fun of the
Yeah.
Undertaker. It's so good, so witty. But the bottom line here, these guys, you can't go wrong. Either one. Like I said, I give them both tens. I
Yeah.
think they're on the same level. Like I mean, Rock, if you want to give, I would say he breaks the scale. Actually, I would say
Yeah.
Rock breaks the scale.
Yeah. But also one more thing. Can I just say, you mentioned that Armageddon promo. Real quick on that. The Rock, the way he roasted everyone in that match, and like the all-time greats involved, that, and then you look at what happened a couple of years ago where Samoa Joe did the same thing before the 2019 Chamber match. And everyone on Twitter just keeps using that same clip. OMG, look at this promo. How about we start circulating the Rock's one before Armageddon 2000? That was actually entertaining and funny. The one with Samoa Joe was like, "Oh, Lee, you suck. Randy Orton, you're all," like, it was just, come on. Can we circulate better clips on Twitter? Anyway, carry on.
That's my job, pal. But nevertheless,
Correct.
yes, there
Yeah,
you
go
go,
on.
pal. Let's talk about them as celebrities and outside of the wrestling world. I think most people listening will agree. These two guys are the most recognizable people to ever come from WWE in just pop culture and just general like fame. The Rock obviously is more famous than Cena, but Rock is more famous for being an actor. But everybody knows Cena as the guy that was a wrestler. You know, you show people John Cena, like, "You can't see me, C Nation." You know, they know his theme song. Like everything about Cena says wrestler. Everything about The Rock, it's like, "Oh, that's the guy for Fast and Furious. That's the guy that did Tooth Fairy. That's the guy that does interviews with Kevin Hart where they're slapping each other with tortillas." But they're still both prominent in pop culture, regardless.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's this is another one where you can't go wrong. I think they're dead even here too.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Cena's the most famous like wrestler, as you allude to, ever. But I think, as we allude to, The Rock was a top line Hollywood A-list movie star and he was in wrestling during a boom period. And so the Rock is just he was born to be a Hollywood mainstream superstar, and that's what he's become. So yeah, it's very hard to compare. I agree. They're both the most famous to ever come from wrestling. Yeah, like Kevin. The thing I love about these two as well, I could go up to people where I live, where like hardly anyone watches. Like, wrestling is not exactly something people watch. And I mentioned John Cena, and let's say, mention Cena's name to 15 people, 13 or 14 would know who Cena is, which says a lot. And the same thing with The Rock. Pretty much everyone knows who these guys are, which means a lot because the reach of these like stars and these two. Because Ken, I feel like where you're at, most people know like all the all timers sort of thing, and like a bunch of like even the wrestlers who weren't on that tier one, like those guys are known far better. But over where I'm at, like down here, way down under here in Australia, like for people, for everyone to know who these guys are says a lot. So yeah, but I'd say Rock takes it just, but they're both very recognizable.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Rock is just Rock's like one of the most famous people in the world. Period. Nuts. It really is. It's crazy. Like he's doing so much stuff. The Under Armour stuff that we mentioned. He's got his own like entertainment company, making movies, making TV shows. He's got a TV show about his life on NBC. With some questionable character choices to portray the wrestlers and people that were in Rock's life. Have you seen some of those character builds from Young Rock?
I've seen like one or two screenshots. I feel like what we'll do, like I'll educate myself on that, and we're gonna do a whole episode about Young Rock sometime, in the next few months. But yeah, I haven't seen too much. But go on.
Absolutely. All right, now let's talk about charisma. This is another one where I think they're both dead even. I I, I don't know how else like you could see it otherwise. The Rock, like he came at a time where it was rare to have two megastars on the same caliber with him and Austin. They were 1A, 1B. We never saw a 1B for Cena. We never saw a 1B for Hogan. We didn't see a 1B for Flair when he was running Ramshot and in the NWA. So like maybe people will look at that like, oh, Rock was always not as charismatic as Austin, but he was. Just came at a different time. In terms of charisma, yeah, I don't see how anybody could argue that neither one of these guys are tens.
Yeah, and I agree. They're both tens. Once again with this similar to promo, like I think they're both incredible, but I'd just still tip it to The Rock just because of some of that stuff I listed before, with just how like the level, like Rock breaks the scale again with this, with the charisma, some of the lines and the promos the way he executed things was just like Cena executed and has executed promos still better than damn near everyone in wrestling history. But I think Dwayne Johnson is just a different animal with this. But that said, Kevin, when they did feud, it was pretty much even. Some people say Cena got the better of The Rock on the mic in that feud. I think it was on par. So I think that was a good litmus test for this. I think they're both, pretty much smack bang on par. I'd give it to The Rock just personally, but that's smack bang on par.
Yeah, I mean they're both A-list celebrities for a reason. They both have that presence. Anytime Cena's out there, it's a big deal. Anytime Rock's music hits, it's a big deal. So yeah. All right, let's look at entrance.
So one more thing. Sorry, just with mainstream and the celebrity. While we're on this, both of these guys, I also want to say as well, whenever they go on your Jimmy Fallon's, Jimmy Kimmel's, Good Morning America, the Today, whatever show it is, like whatever ambassador thing they're promoting for WWE or whichever movie, both these guys are incredible. Like Cena is you see him as he's just such a fun, likable person on these. Whenever he's representing something, he's being the mainstream ambassador. He's so good at it, and The Rock's the same. The Rock's just a star. So yeah, credit to both these guys. I don't want to compare or contrast this, but they're both just incredible at that, at being representations of WWE or movies or what have you.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're two guys that if you want good PR, you want to have them on your side or in your company or whatever. Yeah. Let's talk entrance. Not really a lot here when it comes to entrances. Both guys like neither guy really has like a spectacle entrance like Kane or The Undertaker. But their entrances are really important just for like the pops that they would get, the noise that they would generate, the crowd reaction. And it's almost kind of been forgotten about. The Rock was kind of a polarizing guy like Cena in his prime.
Yeah.
Like people, whenever he faced Austin, people booed The Rock. When he faced Hogan, they booed The Rock. When he faced Brock, they were chanting, "You sold out." So, like, people would paint this picture that The Rock was always like this universal beloved figure. Yeah, he was. Like he was, but people just loved those guys like Austin and Hogan a little bit more. But in terms of entrance, like I think they're both a tier below like some of the iconic entrances.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you make of this category?
With these entrances, to me, I view The Undertaker's entrance as like the GOAT all-time entrance. The entrance where if you like watching that at the WrestleMania is like the peak of wrestling fandom almost. I don't view either Cena or Rock's entrance as an entrance like you need to see it to feel you've lived, sort of thing. But that said, they're both both got iconic theme songs now. And one thing I want to make here, one point, you talk about like the Rock being universally beloved. One thing I think is very interesting with that, I've read like forums about this. I've done research on this, and I've heard people who've lived this explain it in the kind of the online circles, or like the more hardcore wrestling fans, if you want to call them that. For pretty much most of the Attitude Era, The Rock was the guy who copped the hate. Oh, he can't wrestle. All he can do is cut promos. Blah blah blah. Rock copped that, and then when Rock went away, Triple H copped that, and then Cena copped that for pretty much his whole run, and then Roman got it in the 2010s. There's always some guy who cops the brunt of that. Oh, you can't work. You don't know how to wrestle. You're just a gimmicky guy who cuts promos. Boo you. And The Rock was that guy initially. So yeah, he was not universally beloved. He did get his fair share of hate back in the day. But in retrospect, we look at The Rock and think, well, that's stupid. Like, he was such a phenomenal talent. But yeah, I just want to acknowledge that while we're here. And as far as the entrances goes, Kevin, yeah, both Rock and Cena are on the same tier for me. I don't view them as any different. You can both do cool, gimmicky stuff with that. I know Kevin Cena has those WrestleMania entrances with the line of Cena's all doing the "You Can't See Me," and he's done the stuff with the like the gang car at WrestleMania 22, that sort of stuff. The Rock more so just comes out. Yeah, it hasn't really had many entrances where it's like gimmicky, but it's a sick theme song. So
You mean CM Punk's most notorious moment in wrestling history?
Whoa, 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 whoa! I mean, Kevin, that entrance is better than the WrestleMania 22 Cena entrance was better than that 3.5-star match he had. So yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I think they're both similar in this aspect. I think Cena's theme music is more iconic. I don't even know if that's really debatable. Like Rock's theme music, like, what is his theme music? It's just guitar strums and drums and him screaming "If you smell" at the beginning. Cena's is like it became a thing. It became a thing in pop culture with the crank calls, the John Cena memes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like when you're watching Rock walk down to the ring, it's almost unlike anything. It's like you're watching the perfect wrestler. If you could build like physically, from the physical appearance to charisma, if you could build like a wrestler, they build a wrestler from the ground up, Maggle. No, but like if you build a wrestler at a factory, and it's like, this is what the ideal wrestler is going to look like walking down to the ring. This is a guy that looks like he could kill me in a real fight. That's The Rock, is it that?
It would not be Randy Orton, I can tell you that much. A guy who doesn't try for 15 years. But no, yeah, it would be The Rock, 100%. No, fully agree. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I think it balances out. Like, Cena's entrance is nothing special, just him running to the ring, screaming at the cameraman. And it's almost like he kind of forced that to kind of be different, to separate himself from the other wrestlers. So like Cena has a theme song, Rock has just like the overall presence, and like just this is it. This is what a wrestler should look like. But yeah, I would say they're both even in this category too.
Yeah. Also, do we have any like categories? I think we've covered pretty much everything, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. We've gone through them all, pal.
So I was going to say, yeah, I think it's a fascinating conversation. Sound off on this. Obviously, leave a like on the show and all that sort of good stuff. I just want to say as well, once again, I think after this conversation, I still have The Rock just above Cena, but on so many of these categories, as we've discussed, they're very, very similar. Some might tip the cap to Cena. I tip the cap to Dwayne. Kevin, what are your thoughts?
I'm looking at like the way I rated them. I pretty much have them dead even. Like I have Rock ahead by a half a point when you total up all the points. So I don't know. Interesting. Yeah, I don't. It is interesting. I think. All time.
Can I just say one thing? Can I say one thing just as well? What I love about these two, this is very much like an MJ and LeBron discussion to me, because The Rock, his peak was not that long. He really came in 97, and then he was really out the door by 03, realistically. So that was his real peak, and then he had the run in 2012-13, and he's made some flash appearances since. But that's 6 years realistically. Cena, did what, as Paul Heyman said in numerous interviews, no one else could have done what Cena did. And that needs to be acknowledged. The fact that Cena was the sole guy when no one else in the company could have really done what Cena did. Cena did that for 10 years as the clear top guy and really 15 as one of the big stars full time. So they both deserve respect in their own regards. How great The Rock was in the biggest boom in wrestling history versus Cena, who did something no one else could have done what Cena did. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I was trying to think of a perfect way to word what I was gonna say, and you kind of alluded to it. Like the Rocky was at the absolute peak of wrestling. He was involved in that heavily. Had a short peak, but maybe made a bigger impact on the business as a whole than Cena did. But nobody could have done what Cena did, and I don't think anyone will be able to. Cena had the same acts for years and still made it intriguing. Still made people want to watch. And then nowadays he's beloved. Like, it's crazy. It's just the arc of Cena, like a roller coaster ride. Looking at his career, and I think the longevity of Cena and just how long he's been around balances out The Rock having a greater impact at a more meaningful time in the wrestling business, and I think it makes them dead even.
Yeah.
Like, just about as even as you could get.
I like that. I think that's fair. No, I 100% agree. So yeah, sound off to us. Do you think we're wrong? We're right? Do you like the show? What do you think? So, Kevin, unless you have any other closing thoughts?
No, that's it. But we'll talk to you guys on the next one. If you made it this far, please leave a review on Spotify or iTunes, Apple Podcasts. That help us out. That'll help us get us in the algorithm.
Hell yeah, pal. That engagement means the world. So thank you. Next week, well, not even next week, in a few days, we've got our big WrestleMania 39 preview. So we're going to discuss all things current wrestling and really just talk about the biggest show of the year. So that should be a blast. Stay tuned for that. And there's heaps coming after WrestleMania, Kevin. I know the Elite Heat next week after WrestleMania is going to be explosive. So can't wait for that. And yeah, until next time, that's Jimmy out. There you go.